Hello and welcome to Staying Ahead of the Curve. I'm Jeff Snyder, Vice President and Senior Consultant with Camac Retirement Group. And today we've got a great guest, Managing Director and CEO of StoneHedge Global, Bill Jasien. Bill, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Jeff, it's my pleasure.
So, Bill, one of the things I wanted to talk to you first before we kind of get into the nuts and bolts about your thoughts about the defined contribution industry is around the fiduciary rule. We're filming this. It's literally several days since the executive order kind of halting or delaying the implementation of the fiduciary rule. Wanted to get your perspective as a veteran in this industry.
Well, Jeff, thank you. It's a great question. The fiduciary rule is certainly with the new administration, it's something that they should and will study and make certain that they're comfortable with. I happen to think the fiduciary rule makes sense. It's sound for an advisor to serve in a fiduciary capacity, looking out for the best interests of their clients makes a lot of sense to me. The many professions, the medical profession, the legal profession, are founded on that very principle. So, of course, I respect the new administration for taking a look at it, but I do hope in their wisdom they will review it and recognize it has a lot of merit and ultimately adopt it.
Yeah, so definitely more to come. I mean, it's certainly something that's going to be reviewed and evaluated, and I think we'll know something probably in the next 90 to 180 days.
I don't know the timeline, but I would hope it's sooner than later so that the industry can get on with either implementing it or not. I do admire firms that have said, regardless, they are going to implement the fiduciary rule in principle.
So on the same day we had the potential repeal of Dodd-Frank. One of the things I wanted to get another perspective on is the legislative agenda. You know, we don't yet have a labor secretary. The president ran on a tax reform platform, but your sense, if you were kind of thinking about things that might be at the top of the list, what do you think from a legislative point of view?
Well, legislatively, certainly the new Trump administration has their priority. They have their priorities. Small business, I just came from another meeting where small business are looking for tax breaks. Personally and selfishly, I do hope the new administration will look favorably on legislation that will enable retirement plans to be more accessible and easier to manage for participants and the general public.
I know that you and I have spoken at various conferences together, and you're very passionate about what you call the 5 A's. I'm wondering if you might, for the audiences, talk about these principles and things that you've been really talking about for a while.
Well, the 5 A's are quite simple. The 5 A's really take the principles of what you find in a defined benefit plan and apply them to a defined contribution plan. So I'll just offer those perspectives. A defined benefit plan has auto-enroll. A defined benefit plan has auto-escalation. As one progresses in their career, they're contributing more to that defined benefit plan and enjoying a greater long-term benefit. A defined benefit plan has auto-investment management. The third A, the assets are managed by a professional from a long-term perspective. They have something called auto-patch. You don't withdraw and you don't have leakage in a defined benefit plan. You have a patch that says, no, you cannot take these dollars. They are for your retirement period. And finally, a defined benefit plan will have typically an auto payout function, whereby you cannot get a lump sum out of a defined benefit plan typically. So those features, those 5 auto features, if they could be simply applied to the defined contribution model, I think it will revolutionize how a defined contribution works, and it will bring tremendous value to that to those participants. Already, the defined contribution has adopted the auto-enroll and, to a degree, auto-escalation. It needs to take many steps forward in terms of auto-investment management, auto-patch, and auto-payout. However, the target date funds, and QDIA in particular, will go a long way to helping participants achieve that auto investment management paradigm that you find in the defined benefit space.
And we've been trying. I've been in this business for 2 decades. We've been trying to educate and communicate to participants. We've shifted the investment risk from the defined benefit plan to the defined contribution plan to the individual. The communication campaigns, there's been a lot of effort there, but we haven't necessarily seen the successes that we think we should. So I think that plays nicely into what you've described in the 5 A's.
Well, that's another pet peeve of mine. And many in the industry will cringe when they hear this, but education is great, but we're nibbling around the edges with education. Education is simply not working across the board. And so in my strong view, the plans that are very, very effective, and I happen to sit on the board of the Federal Thrift Plan, that's the federal government's defined contribution plan. And it is a state-of-the-art, and what makes it such a state-of-the-art plan is because of its simplicity. Nevertheless, plan design is the key to success. So if and when the Trump administration decides to drive legislation for the benefit of retirees, it really needs to keep in mind plan design more than anything else. Education is great. The industry has spent hundreds and millions of dollars on education, and I don't know what we have to show for it, because most people still do the wrong things when it comes to managing these retirement plans. So back to your point about risk, yes, the risk has shifted from the employer to the employee. That employee, in my view, is not equipped to manage that risk. So plan design and adding those 5 auto features to a defined contribution program would go a long way to help build a safety net under that plan participant.
And that federal thrift plan really is, the hallmark of retirement plans. It is cutting edge, it is state of the art. But there are lessons really to be learned for other plan sponsors about what's going on at the federal thrift and maybe how some of those things can be applied to their program.
There are tremendous lessons, and again, it comes down to the simplicity, the cost, the limited fund menu, the plan design, if you will. Now, can the federal thrift plan be improved? In my opinion, every plan can be improved for the benefit of those participants, helping them save more, helping them drive towards higher levels of contribution, making certain that they're properly asset allocated. And much of that now can be done through technology, whereby an algorithm helps you understand what your needs are. Ultimately, most people simply say, I just want an income replacement. I'm making $80,000 today, and in retirement, I want to be close to that $80,000, somewhere in that range. How do I get there? So rather than teach them all of this about investments, why not just simply build a plan design that achieves that for them, and again, with the use of technology in many respects, would help them do that.
So I certainly think that technology is another tool to be used in the tool belt for building a better and stronger retirement system. And so more to come on that. We're going to be having more and more discussion about that on future episodes of the show. Well, I think it's shows like these and topics like these that cause people to think and talk at their committee meetings. So hopefully this is the start of a much larger and broader conversation. Bill, Jasien, thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
My pleasure, Jeff. Anytime.